Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about something a little different than what I ordinarily talk about. In this segment, I'm going to be talking about my astrological memories, or my memories with astrology. There's been astrology was something when I first started, like most people, I had rather superficial knowledge of. In the beginning, I would just look maybe in the paper and read about the sun signs, and I guess that was all to it, that I just had the fundamental grasp and that was it. But then a prominent family member, she wound up introducing me to other elements and aspects of the subject, and I started reading books that she purchased, and consequently I became enamored with the subject, and I wound up purchasing some books myself, or maybe purchased some of my own money, some from family members' money, I guess. But anyway, this is a interesting thing. I can remember getting these books on it, and I just found out there were so many nuances and elements to it. It was just so fascinating finding out that there was a rising sign, and understanding why a lot of people don't come across as their sun sign, at least upon initial meeting, that the rising sign dominates the appearance and often, at least the outer personality, it's connected with defense mechanisms. And a lot of times it's how we act when we're not in a secure situation, and when we're apprehensive, we put on, I guess, this front or this defense mechanism associated with our rising sign. I can remember reading about this, and I would correlate some of these descriptions that I read with people I knew. I knew somebody that he was born on the same date as me, but about an hour later, and he had Gemini Rising. And it really, in this book I read on Gemini Rising, it was called The Rising Sign by Gene Avery. Some of you may have heard of it. It's a very good book about the rising sign, and he really fit the bill. Very quick-witted, could outmaneuver, seemed like anyone, almost any time, very quick mentally, physically, as far as their agility goes. He really fit the bill, and it was just amazing how so many people, as I learned and started assimilating the subject greater as the years progressed, how so many people I knew just seemed to fit their charts. I can remember there was reading another book, and I don't remember the title of it, but it was a very interesting astrology book, because the way it was written, it was like colloquial. It wasn't written like, you know how you read most books and it's written in a very, I guess you could say it's in the textbook manner. It's in a very stern, kind of serious way, like you would go into college or even in elementary school, and you'd read passages and it would be just in a very serious, straightforward manner. But in this book, it would talk about, it would be like a lot of the passages were like what you would hear in conversation. And then one excerpt said something about Moon and Gemini, which I have. It said something like, change subjects every 90 seconds, every 3 minutes if you're glib. And then they had something about Scorpio Moon, and it said this placement or something to this effect has more willpower than all the others put together, and had it italicized. And something like, if this placement is such and such, I'm ready to go into the pretzel machine or pretzel device, or something similar to that and it was just like, it was like somebody was talking to me, sitting down and talking to me in conversation. Some other memories I thought were interesting were the same prominent family member in my life. And sometimes, like, she would watch TV, and we would be watching the stars, celebrities in movies, actors, actresses, and we were watching something one day where they were showing highlights of a movie John Travolta was in. And I believe she asked me what was his sun sign, and I said Aquarius, and she said, and she responded by saying Cancer ascendant real fast, and she said she was very animated when she gave that response, and she said it like in a way where she was so confident that she was right, and she was a whiz at guessing like sun or and rising signs or whatever. She was very, very facile mind as far as that went, and she and sure enough she was right. I believe John Travolta has 29 degrees Cancer rising. Now, basically those memories are very strong in my mind, and when it would be funny that I was in school one time in high school, and we would be talking about different signs and with people, and they would ask me, well, what does this say about my sign, or what this and that pertaining to their own charts, just questions regarding their charts. And somebody, I guess he was messing with me a little bit, this person was a Cancer with Scorpio rising, and he said, and he didn't pronounce the word right, he said, what are you, the school astrologer? And said astrologer instead of astrologer. That made that comment, that almost transcends time in my mind as far as memories connected with astrology moments, especially in my younger days. Now, it's just funny when I was introduced to the subject that, as I stated earlier, that finding out that astrology is really, it's like, it reminds me of an intricate piece of machinery with many components, and it's amazing how it just all fits together like a big gigantic puzzle, that there's so much more than just the sun sign. I mean, you have the moon and Mercury, and you have all these planets and signs in houses, aspects between the planets, that you have Chiron, you have the North Node and South Node, and it just really mind-boggling how many facets there are to this fascinating subject. And I just remember becoming so interested in it, and the knowledge gradually escalated, I guess, since I have Taurus rising. It was a methodical process, but I just like to learn. And what I recommend for anybody is, if anybody wants to become more versed in the knowledge of astrology, just start getting books on the subjects, getting on that subject. A great series I recommend, I believe it's called The Only Way to Learn Astrology, and it's written by, I think it's Joan McGivers and Marion D. March, and they really take you through the process in a very, it's done in like a basic, straightforward manner, and makes it understood that you can learn so many facets of the subject in the process. I mean, it goes through the sun and the signs, planets in houses, incorporating, amalgamating these elements together in a chart, aspects between planets, aspects involving the ascendant in midheaven, chart rulers, house rulers. I mean, it really just goes into it very deep, and it's just a step-by-step systematic approach to the subject. And it's funny, I'll remember actual almost sentences from some of these books. It just shows you that if it's something that you enjoy, things become like, they stick with your memory like an indelible fixture, and it's just unbelievable. If you really have a passion for something, and you will do it well. You know, astrology is something that's been part of my life since I've been like around maybe 13 years old, somewhere around there, and it's been for at least 30 years, and I would say it just seems like you never stop learning. It's a perpetual journey in knowledge, and that's what makes it so interesting too, is that you can never, it's a subject where you can never be really complacent as far as what you learn. You just keep learning and learning. And I don't know if this magazine is even out anymore. I can't remember what it was. I know they did away with at least one, but there was a magazine called American Astrology, then they had Del Horoscope, and those magazines were very interesting and gave me different insight also on certain elements in a horoscope. So, and also, as I've stated before, watch many people that do YouTube astrology videos. Don't just watch one, watch many of them, because this way you can derive greater benefits, because you'll get insight from one person in one video, then insight from another in another video. And it would just, the only other thing I'd like to add is just the different conversations I had with people in the past regarding their astrology charts, and even people that weren't interested in it, I got them interested in it, and they would say, like, wow, that really fits me to a T. And it was amazing just learning about this, becoming learned, no pun intended, you're right, in the subject, and talking about these things with friends, and looking at their charts, analyzing them, and they would be most would tell me that they thought it was fairly accurate, and pretty much that's it. And anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment, and stay tuned next time, where I'll be continuing my Chiron in the Houses series. Two things I want to get with you on before I head out. Firstly, the stars may impel but do not compel. And secondly, never isolate any single astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, configuration, influence, or what have you, and make an analysis of a person, astrologically speaking, based on this alone, because a person astrologically is the sum of all their components in their natal chart, and not just one. Until next time, people, stay well.